Part 73. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 744. Stepping into the magical array of stars, Christine immediately felt different, as if he had come to the lush forest, the breeze was in his arms, and the whole person was refreshed and full of energy. This is the first function of the star's magic circle, gathering. At this time, the dark night of the clouds has already arrived. This is the first time in the long time of thousands of years, but it is too far away from any cloud city, and few wind elemental creatures will be close to this quiet place. At this moment, even with the naked eye, the light of the stars passes through the mysterious curtain and quietly falls on the highest level of the wind element plane. This is a real starry sky, not an illusion of illusion. Looking up at the stars, it will always be awesome, because it is an unknown vast world, far wider than the earth. For thousands of years, there are countless people trying to understand the mysteries of stars like the astrologer, but their gains are so meager. But when Christine really entered the star's magic circle, the blood flowing in her body was directly activated by the power of the stars sucked by the faction, and a cool air was poured directly from the top of the head, which made her unable to stand up. The delightful look comes. The stars in the sky seem to be brighter. More and more stars are passing through the barriers of the mysterious curtains. The corresponding attraction and summoning from the magical array of stars, and finally into the blood, body, and soul of Christine. In an instant, the entire sky is shining. This scene makes the magic array host 11 Wei and the King of the Wind, Olaxa, are somewhat shocked. It's not a star shining, but a group of stars. Obviously, the 40 limits are a terrible curse, but the potential contained in this blood is so powerful, I am afraid at least one level with the Golden Lion. The sanctuary blood, but for thousands of years until today, it shows the perfect style in Christine's body. The stars shine, and the star power is like the Tianhe River. Christine is constantly accepting the baptism of the rain of the stars, as if the land of the long drought is reunited with the rain, from the blood to the body to the soul, constantly moisturizing and growing. Ziwei and Christine can be said to be academic friends. Although Ziwei has a lot of time, Christine has inspired a lot of Ziwei, so Christine's growth rate has not been completed after the master's certificate. Slow down, but soon accumulated to the edge of the legendary caster. At this moment, under the perfusion of the power of the stars, her harvest far exceeded the expectations of Ziwei. In a short moment, the soul level jumped rapidly and crossed the threshold of legend. The power of the stars is transforming her body and letting her evolve in a more perfect direction. Her silver-white long hair flutters in the wind and shines like a comet. Because the power of the stars is far more than expected, the magical consumption of the star magic circle is terrible. The heart of Ziwei's heart lake has lost its balance because it has the power of the source. Therefore, although he tries to maintain the magic array and extend the time, it only stick to half a magic time. In the end, the starburst was dim, the magical array slowly dissipated, and the shining stars in the sky returned to the night and re-hidden behind the mysterious curtain. After a while, the clouds were light and the sea of clouds had restored its original appearance, and at this time, Christine opened his eyes again. Even though Ziwei, who has been used to the world, has been deeply shocked at this moment, Christine's eyes shine like a star, as if the stars in the sky are forever in her eyes. This makes Christine, who is at the top of the mortal beauty, go further, extraordinary, and her charm has reached a non-human level. Christine looked at Ziwei quietly, looking straight into his eyes, standing opposite, silent. "How do you feel?" After the two men looked at each other for a long time, Ziwei finally broke the calm. "Like eating, I feel that my body is heavy, and the power of the stars is a lot. I need some time to slowly digest and adapt." Christine gently frowned. "Congratulations on crossing the legendary gate, Christine. This will be a new road, maybe a new career will be formed in the future, and you are undoubtedly the founder and mentor." Ziwei made. "Congratulations, the caster who uses the power of the stars, like the Shadow Warlock and the Blood Warlock, belongs to the caster's category, mysterious and powerful. Although Christine relied on the mysterious blood to directly undertake the power of the stars, but this does not mean that mortals cannot learn and use, although the efficiency will be much lower. I really don't know how to thank you. Ziwei, the 40 curse of the Phillips family finally ended on me. I feel a lot easier, my heart beats very fast. Justin's face slipped down, it was tears of joy. I have made a promise, aren't you? Ziwei smiled and responded, after all, we are the closest old friends. So Ziwei, you come to help me name this new career that will be born. Christine wiped his tears and smiled. Using the power of the stars, it is called a star surgeon, 11 Wisei responded after a moment. The astrologer, very good. Ziwei, in the future you will be a great Arcane, and I have to be a great star. Kristen opened her arms and embraced the blue sky. The power of the stars is for me, the life of the stars is my clock. This is a brand new field, I hope you can fully develop it. Ziwei sincerely congratulated, looking forward to the day you become a star warrior. In the 7 days of the wind element plane, it quickly passed. During this period, Ziwei once again arranged 2 star magic arrays to help the astrologer Christine continue to attract the power of the stars. After all, the wind element plane may be the weakest place in the mysterious curtain of the entire multidimensional plane. The difficulty of leaving the power of the stars to pass through the mysterious curtain has greatly increased. Xavier's brother, Meryl reappeared at the appointed time. At the age of 17, she was quiet and elegant. She looked like a standard everyone. Who could imagine that she was a pioneer in the field of electromagnetics? Master, explore and control the power of lightning. In the hands of Meryl, the shape of the thunder blessing sword has changed, and it has become a silver and white stick sword similar to the staff. The thunder shines and shines. In order to do this, we must truly understand and begin to use the power of the wind and thunder. It is obvious that Meryl did not disappoint Ziwei. She did it in just 7 days, although she is now the Lord of the Wind. Sunderland's strength still has a big gap, but in terms of growth and future, it is far better. Yang is still a calm appearance, not arrogant. 4 people in front of the green and green, Natalia is still in it. Can my sister succeed? Meryl asked with some concern, knowing that the blood of the sanctuary is one of the few in the entire continent of Orient, but now Natalia has to challenge both saints. The blood of the field is really too big. In the past 3 years, I have helped Natalia more than 30 times of blood and genetic adjustment. Her body is far more versatile, and the real dragon is almost the same, my own answer. Natalia is not suitable for the path of the arcanist or the magician, but how can Ziwei have no arrangement and planning for his future life partner? Charlotte has made the Ashes messenger, can directly communicate the source of the holy light. The future of the future is limitless, and the golden lion blood flowing in Natalia is also the blood of the entire Orient continent. The breathing method she uses it is also from the mountain and sea of the great masters, and with the continuous adjustment of the blood and genes for Ziwei, Natalia has already established the foundation for the success of the world, and the need is to constantly hone to discover their potential. Suddenly, the green and fine smashed suddenly, and Natalia jumped out of it with a pleasant expression on her face. I succeeded, Ziwei, the 2 bloods have reached a balance in my body. I can simultaneously awaken the wind elves and the golden lions of the 2 bloods, Natalia excitedly holding Ziwei shouted. Very good, Ziwei carefully looked at his fiancée, although she still has not entered the legend, but the legend will never be the limit of Natalia. But I still can't control my own strength. A lot of potential is like a glacier under the sea. I can't find it all the time, Natalia said with some reluctance, and I don't know how to work hard. To know that Natalia's father, Count Bonaparte, is nothing more than an 8th order blood knight. The secret of the family has no reference to her, and mountain and sea is the monk's breathing method. It's not always the case. I can't help you in this area, but there is still one person in the world who can be your teacher. 11 Wei gently patted Natalia's shoulder. Who? The big master, the flow of clouds. Zai Wei looked at the distance. I am planning to go to Junshiveo and Nada, you will go with me. Great. I have long wanted to go to Yongziaoshan, thank you in person, Natalia quickly agreed. Then we will leave the wind element plane together. Yang, remember to select the first batch of students who came to Yunzong City. The 5 people passed through the top of the sky and returned to Orient. Christine and Young and Meryl returned directly to Violet through the temporary portal opened by Zai Wei. There has been a lot of work to be dealt with, and everyone has a very fulfilling life. After making some important instructions on the government of the Afghan kingdom, Natalia finally happily embarked on a journey to Kingstown with Zai Wei, with the presence of the Arcane Corps, not worried about the Afghan kingdom. What kind of rebellion will happen? Since the trip to the deep sea plane 2 years ago, we have not gone out alone like this for a long time. Natalia and Zai Wei walked side by side, walking on the sky, at the foot of the Golden Sea. Zai Wei did not choose to send it directly. Although it was more convenient and quicker, it lost the meaning of travel and sneaked away. He also wanted to enjoy the world of two with Natalia. Zai Wei, what is your purpose in going to Junshiveo? Natalia asked curiously. I am going to interview the Grand Master, expel the fishermen, defeat the Queen of the Deep Sea, and let the Golden Sea return to order, Zai Wei said calmly. After completing the conquest of the Afi Kingdom, Zai Wei has in fact become the master of half of the Golden Sea, and the Grand Master of Junshiveo is undoubtedly the most important master of the other half of the Golden Sea. The Devil Portal, located deep in the Golden Sea, is constantly running. The number of fishermen who have come to Ireland has exceeded 20,000. This is a very scary number and is still rising. We must know that every fisherman is an elite warrior, at least a strongman at the exemplary level. Ordinary people have no resistance in front of them. The routes of Zai Wei and the islands of Violet and Sicily are located on the Golden Sea, and the channels of external transportation and trade depend on the ocean, so they are naturally opposed to the Deep Sea Queen, Kanoya, and fall into the Holy Norman Empire. After the war, Zai Wei must stand up and stop the expansion of the Kanoya, and he is duty-bound. Chasing the clouds along the way to catch the moon, less than 3 magical time came to the outskirts of Kingstown. It was at dawn, the whole city is waking up from the silence. Junshiveo has more than 1 million permanent residents, and there are countless merchants, slaves, and travelers from other places. It is also the bright pearl of the whole southeast of the Orient continent, with the status of second only to the 3 major cities. Natalia walks through the bustling streets of Kingstown. The arrival of the Dark Frenzy has not only failed to make the castle a fort, but has become more prosperous, because it has the refuge of the great sects and has become the only Southeast Orient where security is located. Countless dignitaries are taking refuge here, making Kingsburg a morbidly high level of consumption. On the streets, pedestrians and horses are constantly flowing, but they are orderly. They often see people wearing martial arts uniforms, belts, or foreheads with a green bamboo leaf imprint. They are the disciples. In Junshiveo, the monk has a noble position, and every household wants to send their children to the Yungziao mountain to receive the training of the monks. Therefore, although the entry examination of the Yunzong is very strict, the number of students is indeed the year. In the year of climbing, it is not just a simple martial art, but an independent city-state backbone of the Orient continent. There is no lord in Kingstown, only 4 justices, 9 rulers, and 500 knights, but there are more than 20,000 martial arts on the Yungziao mountain. The Grand Master has already sheltered the city. For 100 years, he was the greatest being in the hearts of all the people of Constantburg. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 745. Since it is a visit to the door, Zai Wei naturally does not directly transfer into the other side of the mountain gate, but through the hackers at the foot of Yungziao mountain. Beidou search, Kancha 58. The image of Ziwei once appeared on the headlines of the Pai Daily. As a man of the world, he was naturally familiar with the guests, so he quickly greeted the owner of the violet with grand etiquette. Along the way, under the guidance of 4 white-robe martial arts, along the quaint stone steps modeled by the green grass, a long bell rang on the top of the mountain, a total of 36 rings, which is the most distinguished guest of Yunzong. Etiquette used. Ziwei and Natalia stepped up the stairs, and the mountains and the gardens were everywhere, and they blended perfectly with the surrounding nature. Like the archipelago on the sea, they were linked by green lanes. Charm. Many of the monks are in the morning exercise, wearing martial arts uniforms of different colors, such as green, red, white and green. They are connected to various martial arts exercises in a uniform manner. Many people sit quietly and take a breath. It is the monk who has begun to practice breathing. Junshiveo is located at the junction of the 3 continents of Orient, Africa and Shenzhou. The human race here is also the most complicated. All kinds of hairs have various types of questions, but they are all practicing martial arts. The impact of the cloud is far-reaching. All the way to the summit has finally reached the top of the mountain, the green bamboo is shaded, the mountains are clear, the birds and flowers are fragrant, as if they have come to the paradise. There is a small pavilion at the top of the mountain, and an elder is in it. The 4 white robes stopped their steps, and the hacker indicated that the elder was the owner of Yungziao Mountain, and the great master was in the clouds. The elder man is a childlike face. Just like Yang, he is a purely Shenzhou person. Although he has a long life of more than 200 years old, his skin is rosy and wrinkles-free. It seems that the harmony between the two is as perfect as the whole nature. Rhyme stayed on him casually. The flow of clouds turned around, the eyes first stopped on Natalia's body, and carefully looked at Ziwei, and nodded and smiled, and said, "I thought Ziwei Master was kneeling. The name of Nyoda is still just luck. It's not accidental to see it today. Fortunately, I will be lucky. When the great master of the cloud is young, he is not a good old man. He has traveled all over the continent of Orient. He has challenged many powerful people. He has accumulated countless experiences in the battle, and finally he has become a great master, Kaizongli, Wajia. Kingstown. This is my fiancée Natalia, who was once favored by the Lord of the Morning, and gave the mountain and sea breathing method. Although I have practiced hard and practiced slightly, I have always owed some heat. Visiting, I also asked the Grand Master to enlighten me to know that the mountain and sea breathing method in Natalia is created after the success of the Great Master. Even the Yungziao Zhongzhong has only the lowest part of the Wu I can only cultivate. This is the deep meaning of Natalia, so Ziwei chose to open the door. Sure enough, it is from the Lord of the Morning. The flow of clouds has smashed the long beard. The Lord of the Morning has helped me perfect the method of healing the infuriating, so I handed over the inheritance of a mountain and sea to her. I hope that I can hand it over to a good person. It seems that Miss Natalia is such a good person. Lord Grand Master, since I have practiced mountain and sea, you are my mentor. I hope that you can give me some guidance and let me take less detours. Natalia came forward and performed a monk discipleship. Flowing clouds looked at Natalia, is the power of high blood in your body. It is precisely that the disciples have 2 different sources of blood, all of which are legendary. This cannot be concealed and does not need to be concealed. While there is not much jealousy in Wushu, but the power of blood is one of them. With blood, it will naturally change the meridians in the body. Your body has 2 bloods in its body. It is unparalleled, such as Red Sunday Dongshen, such as the King of the World. The second is elegant and elegant, such as the breeze, such as the clouds and waves. If you only have the second blood, it is a genius of the monk, but the blood of the tyrant, in the martial arts it's too hard. The cloud is not arrogant. Natalia could not conceal the disappointment. After all, she came with great expectations, but she did not expect the blood of the golden lion in her body to become an obstacle. However, Zai Wei has heard the deep meaning of the words in the flow of clouds. Unable to practice the monks, does not mean that the flow of clouds cannot give directions. Sure enough, the voice of the cloud is a turn, but the mountain and sea breathing method was created after I became a great master. It is beyond the limits of the human body. It is the method of achieving immortality. The mountain, with the blood of the hidden person as the sea, if it can be integrated, the future is not limited. The blood changes the body, and the breathing method acts on the body, so the two interact with each other and in most cases conflict with each other. However, in the eyes of the great master, Natalia is a perfect embryo of the mountain and sea. It is more talented than any of his apprentices. Two different blood forces are turned into mountain and sea. The ultimate achievement is even his own fascination. Also ask the Grand Master to teach me, Natalia said excitedly. The clouds are full of laughter. I still don't see Master, Zai Wei quickly reminded. The disciple meets Master. Natalia quickly fell to the ground in accordance with the ceremonial ceremonies of the monk's career. P.S. Today's update is not complete, writing, waiting for replacement, sorry. Since it is a visit to the door, Zai Wei naturally does not directly transfer into the other side of the mountain gate, but through the hackers at the foot of Yungziao Mountain. The image of Zai Wei once appeared on the headlines of the Pai Li Daily. As a man of the world, he was naturally familiar with the guests, so he quickly greeted the owner of the Violet with grand etiquette. Along the way, under the guidance of 4 white-robe martial arts, along the quaint stone steps modeled by the green grass, a long bell rang on the top of the mountain, a total of 36 rings, which is the most distinguished guest of Yunzong. Etiquette used. Zai Wei and Natalia stepped up the stairs, and the mountains and the gardens were everywhere, and they blended perfectly with the surrounding nature. Like the archipelago on the sea, they were linked by green lanes. Charm. Many of the monks are in the morning exercise, wearing martial arts uniforms of different colors, such as green, red, white and green. They are connected to various martial arts exercises in a uniform manner. Many people sit quietly and take a breath. It is the monk who has begun to practice breathing. Jun Shiveo is located at the junction of the 3 continents of Orient, Africa and Shenzhou. The human race here is also the most complicated. All kinds of hairs have various types of questions, but they are all practicing martial arts. The impact of the cloud is far-reaching. All the way to the summit has finally reached the top of the mountain. The green bamboo is shaded, the mountains are clear, the birds and flowers are fragrant, as if they have come to the paradise. There is a small pavilion at the top of the mountain, and an elder is in it. The 4 white robes stopped their steps, and the hacker indicated that the elder was the owner of Yungziao Mountain, and the great master was in the clouds. The elder man is a childlike face. Just like Yang, he is a purely Shenzhou person. Although he has a long life of more than 200 years old, his skin is rosy and wrinkles-free. It seems that the harmony between the two is as perfect as the whole nature. Rhyme stayed on him casually. The flow of clouds turned around, the eyes first stopped on Natalia's body, and carefully looked at Zai Wei, and nodded and smiled, and said, I thought Zai Wei master was kneeling. The name of Nyoda is still just luck. It's not accidental to see it today. Fortunately, I will be lucky. When the great master of the cloud is young, he is not a good old man. He has traveled all over the continent of Orient. He has challenged many powerful people. He has accumulated countless experiences in the battle, and finally he has become a great master, Kaizongli, Wajia. Kingstown. This is my fiancée Natalia, who was once favored by the Lord of the Morning, and gave the mountain and sea breathing method. Although I have practiced hard and practiced slightly, I have always owed some heat. Visiting, I also asked the Grand Master to enlighten me to know that the mountain and sea breathing method in Natalia is created after the success of the Great Master, even the Yongxiao Zhongzhong has only the lowest part of the Wu I can only cultivate. This is the deep meaning of Natalia, so Zai Wei chose to open the door. Sure enough, it is from the Lord of the Morning. The flow of clouds has smashed the long beard. The Lord of the Morning has helped me perfect the method of healing the infuriating, so I handed over the inheritance of a mountain and sea to her. I hope that I can hand it over to a good person. It seems that Miss Natalia is such a good person. Lord Grand Master, since I have practiced mountain and sea, you are my mentor. I hope that you can give me some guidance and let me take less detours. Natalia came forward and performed a monk discipleship. Flowing clouds looked at Natalia, is the power of high blood in your body. It is precisely that the disciples have two different sources of blood, all of which are legendary. This cannot be concealed and does not need to be concealed. While there is not much jealousy in Wushu, but the power of blood is one of them. With blood, it will naturally change the meridians in the body. Your body has two bloods in its body. It is unparalleled, such as Red Sunday Dongsheng, such as the king of the world. The second is elegant and elegant, such as the breeze, such as the clouds and waves. If you only have the second blood, it is a genius of the monk, but the blood of the tyrant, in the martial arts it's too hard. The cloud is not arrogant. Natalia could not conceal the disappointment. After all, she came with great expectations, but she did not expect the blood of the golden lion in her body to become an obstacle. However, Zai Wei has heard the deep meaning of the words in the flow of clouds. Unable to practice the monks, does not mean that the flow of clouds cannot give directions. Sure enough, the voice of the cloud is a turn, but the mountain and sea breathing method was created after I became a great master. It is beyond the limits of the human body. It is the method of achieving immortality. The mountain, with the blood of the hidden person as the sea, if it can be integrated, the future is not limited. The blood changes the body, and the breathing method acts on the body, so the two interact with each other and in most cases conflict with each other. However, in the eyes of the great master, Natalia is a perfect embryo of the mountain and sea. It is more talented than any of his apprentices. Two different blood forces are turned into mountain and sea. The ultimate achievement is even his own fascination. Also ask the Grand Master to teach me, Natalia said excitedly. The clouds are full of laughter. I still don't see Master, Zai Wei quickly reminded. The disciple meets Master. Natalia quickly fell to the ground in accordance with the ceremonial ceremonies of the monk's career. Since it is a visit to the door, Zai Wei naturally does not directly transfer into the other side of the mountain gate, but through the hackers at the foot of Yongxiao Mountain. The image of Zai Wei once appeared on the headlines of the Pai Li Daily. As a man of the world, he was naturally familiar with the guests, so he quickly greeted the owner of the violet with grand etiquette. Along the way, under the guidance of 4 white-robe martial arts, along the quaint stone steps modeled by the green grass, a long bell rang on the top of the mountain, a total of 36 rings, which is the most distinguished guest of Yunzong. Etiquette used. Zai Wei and Natalia stepped up the stairs, and the mountains and the gardens were everywhere, and they blended perfectly with the surrounding nature. Like the archipelago on the sea, they were linked by green lanes. Charm. Many of the monks are in the morning exercise, wearing martial arts uniforms of different colors, such as green, red, white and green. They are connected to various martial arts exercises in a uniform manner. Many people sit quietly and take a breath. It is the monk who has begun to practice breathing. Junshiveo is located at the junction of the 3 continents of Orient, Africa and Shenzhou. The human race here is also the most complicated. All kinds of hairs are all kinds of questions, but they are all in the martial arts. Practice, it is possible to see the profound influence of the great masters. All the way to the summit has finally reached the top of the mountain. The green bamboo is shaded, the mountains are clear, the birds and flowers are fragrant, as if they have come to the paradise. There is a small pavilion at the top of the mountain, and an elder is in it. The 4 white robes stopped their steps, and the hacker indicated that the elder was the owner of Yungziao Mountain, and the great master was in the clouds. The elder man is a childlike face. Just like Yang, he is a purely Shenzhou person. Although he has a long life of more than 200 years old, his skin is rosy and wrinkles-free. It seems that the harmony between the two is as perfect as the whole nature. Rhyme stayed on him casually. The flow of clouds turned around, the eyes first stopped on Natalia's body, and carefully looked at Ziwei, and nodded and smiled, and said, "I thought Ziwei Master was kneeling. The name of Nyoda is still just luck. It's not accidental to see it today. Fortunately, I will be lucky. When the great master of the cloud is young, he is definitely not a good old man. He has traveled all over the continent of Orient, challenging many strong people and accumulating countless classics in the battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 746. Of course, the study life at Violet College is by no means a relaxed and enjoyable daily life. The pressure of learning is still great. Almost everyone is actively working hard to make progress. In this atmosphere, no one can enjoy the peace of mind, one is careless. It may not be able to keep up with the rhythm. From the seniors to the classmates and then become a schoolmate, it really becomes a laughing stock. Ziwei uses the Smurfs and the various basic materials produced in Sicily to supply the Violet Seven Islands, while the Violet Seven Islands become the largest magical industry. The research results of various laboratories are realized here as magic products. Marketing throughout the continent of Orient. Many aristocrats and businessmen who have carried a lot of property to escape to Violet have chosen to invest in the magic industry. Although a small number of people have been defrauded of money, most people still have a lot of income, especially those with children. I was admitted to the Violet College and got the internal news and instructions. Because of this, all the hearts of the entire Violet territory have to send their children to the Violet Academy. The Ziwei's Magic popular series is really true for every family. The extent of a book. The upgrade and maintenance of Western Way's spell list has been dominated by Christine, but the entire system kernel is still completed by Ziwei and Zero Collaboration, which builds a system similar to online games, that is, a strong sense of upgrade, paying off no pain no gain. Not only the most talented students can benefit from it, but also a lot of arcane points and become a promising arcane master. Even the most common Violet students can complete the various tasks released by the college and mentor. Get knowledge, magic books, arcane points, spellcasting materials, and even gold coins. Even the poorest students can use these benefits to improve family life while continuing on the magical path. So even though one can't stop, the life is so full, the endless competitions, experiments, and conferences make everyone's spirits tense. After completing the year-end final exam and getting their respective academic year scores, they finally reached the end of the year. On the birthday of the grandson, everyone can get a breather and enjoy a rare leisure holiday. Many students from the Kingdom of France and other places choose to go home during this time. After all, there are only 2 holidays in a year, and the summer vacation always takes part in various social practices. The families of students who have settled in Violet are also happy. Purchased a Christmas tree, there is a strong festive atmosphere on the streets. As the highest leader of Violet, Ziwei is always the target of countless Violet people. Therefore, when the news of the expedition to the Afghan kingdom was a day of victory, the whole Violet became a sea of joy. When Vice-Chancellor Yang returned to school, a more shocking news began to spread among the teachers of Violet and the best students. The legendary elements of the wind actually appeared, and there was a city in the clouds. Into the hands of the president of Ziwei. For every magician who majors in elemental school, the elemental plane is the sacred place of dreams, and the most in the Violet is the element mage, So how many people are gearing up and want to get a chance to go to the wind element plane? Yang also announced that he will hold an assessment after New Year's Day. The news of the explosion made many people unwilling to spend the new year. They began to actively prepare. The violet people did not fear competition and examinations. The successful people certainly had great gains. The failed people could also find gaps and make up for the defects. At this time, Ziwei and Natalia appeared in the Loki airport, waiting for the next flight from Par. With the successful flight of the big flight home Fraser, the route between Wangdu Pari and Violet has already had a 3-day flight, which greatly facilitates the lives of many people. It takes only 6 magic hours to sail, and it takes a whole month to travel through the traditional carriage. Although the ticket price is expensive, for nobles and big businessmen, time is money, and the price is still affordable. Since the opening of this route, every voyage is full, and there are still many regrets that cannot get tickets. People. This time, the people waiting for Ziwei and Natalia are the Ash ambassador Charlotte. She has been alone for half a year in the morning section. Both Ziwei and Natalia are very welcome. Return. When the large passenger plane landed and the passengers came out, the appearance of a tall red-haired female knight caused traffic congestion. For the French people, she was the famous Ash ambassador. For the Violets, she was Summer. Lauder's mentor, a lot of young people around her, asking for a signature, and 2 cute little girls come together to take a bold picture. Although Charlotte is eager to see the arrows, can only smile to meet these cute fans' little wish. It seems that Charlotte's fame is far more than me. Natalia looked at the scene and said with emotion. Why, is it regret? If I should have allowed you to go to Parley to practice the light, you may gain more admirers. Ziwei snarled. No, this is the road to Charlotte. It fits her best. I never regret it. According to you, I am a late career, the protagonist of the future, Natalia responded to Ziwei with an exaggerated tone. The 2 men looked at each other and smiled. At this time, Charlotte finally got rid of a group of admirers. She saw the 2 people in the first time, and the eyes were slightly red, and the whole person had already appeared in front of them. Welcome to your home, Charlotte. Ziwei gave her the warmest hug. He had a spell that ignored the sense of existence within 10 meters of his surroundings, but he was not worried about being surrounded. Hey, Charlotte, my love, every day and night that you are not here, I am missing you in love, Natalia sang in an aria-like voice, and she did not know that she was in the West. Dubbing, or express your inner feelings. Charlotte broke and laughed, and turned to Natalia for a deep affection. In this year, she was lonely, and continued to explore in the light of the holy light. With the help of Yulichia, she has grown up. To a very strong degree, even the old legendary silver messenger Mograine is not her opponent in actual combat. However, the achievements on the way of light are still better than the joy after a long reunion. Soon the 3 returned to the Violet Castle, and there was a rich banquet waiting for the second hostess to return. Charlotte put on a long red dress, and Natalia, wearing a blue dress, whispered, looking red, apparently had a lot of intimate contact when changing clothes, but it made the charm of 2 beautiful people completely bloomed, so that the West Victoria sitting across the table is really feasting, and a delicious meal. In the evening, in the largest and most luxurious master bedroom on the 3rd floor of the Violet Castle, the 3 enjoyed the most insane carnival. One of the opponents of Ziwei was the legendary paladin, and the other was a diamond knight with 2 sacred blood. Although he himself has a body comparable to the masters of the warriors because of the blessing of the silver moon, he is also tired and can only cope with the disadvantages. In the end, the uncomfortable Ziwei finally had to use taboo weapons. The secret method from the pink magic book appeared in the hands of Ziwei, and finally the 2 female knights were defeated, winning the fierce battle and defending the man. Dignity. Finally, Natalia gently stroked her stomach and asked to Ziwei, do we have children? The fertility rate of the high-ranking blood vessels is very low. In particular, Natalia is a lion and a wind genie. The difficulty of giving birth to a descendant is almost no less than defeating a half-god. Yes, rest assured, Nada, I promise, Ziwei promised without hesitation. With the existence of a blood research laboratory, he did not worry that he would have no offspring. Only now is only 18 years old, Natalia is only 20 years old, not eager to give birth to future generations. P.S. Today's update has not been completed, is writing, and so on. Of course, the study life at Violet College is by no means a relaxed and enjoyable daily life. The pressure of learning is still great. Almost everyone is actively working hard to make progress. In this atmosphere, no one can enjoy the peace of mind, one is careless. It may not be able to keep up with the rhythm. From the seniors to the classmates and then become a schoolmate, it really becomes a laughing stock. Ziwei uses the Smurfs and the various basic materials produced in Sicily to supply the Violet Seven Islands, while the Violet Seven Islands become the largest magical industry. The research results of various laboratories are realized here as magic products. Marketing throughout the continent of Orient. Many aristocrats and businessmen who have carried a lot of property to escape to Violet have chosen to invest in the magic industry. Although a small number of people have been defrauded of money, most people still have a lot of income, especially those with children. I was admitted to the Violet College and got the internal news and instructions. Because of this, all the hearts of the entire Violet territory have to send their children to the Violet Academy. The Ziwei's Magic popular series is really true for every family. The extent of a book. The upgrade and maintenance of Western Way's spell list has been dominated by Christine, but the entire system kernel is still completed by Ziwei and Zero collaboration, which builds a system similar to online games, that is, a strong sense of upgrade, paying off no pain no gain. Not only the most talented students can benefit from it, but also a lot of arcane points and become a promising arcane master. Even the most common Violet students can complete the various tasks released by the college and mentor. Get knowledge, magic books, arcane points, spellcasting materials, and even gold coins. Even the poorest students can use these benefits to improve family life while continuing on the magical path. So even though one busy one can't stop, the life is so full, the endless competitions, experiments, and conferences make everyone's spirits tense. After completing the year-end final exam and getting their respective academic year scores, they finally reached the end of the year. On the birthday of the grandson, everyone can get a breather and enjoy a rare leisure holiday. Many students from the Kingdom of France and other places choose to go home during this time. After all, there are only 2 holidays in a year, and the summer vacation always takes part in various social practices. The families of students who have settled in Violet are also happy. Purchased a Christmas tree, there is a strong festive atmosphere on the streets. As the highest leader of Violet, Ziwei is always the target of countless Violet people. Therefore, when the news of the expedition to the Afghan kingdom was a day of victory, the whole Violet became a sea of joy. When Vice-Chancellor Yang returned to school, a more shocking news began to spread among the teachers of Violet and the best students. The legendary elements of the wind actually appeared, and there was a city in the clouds. Into the hands of the president of Ziwei. For every magician who majors in elemental school, the elemental plane is the sacred place of dreams, and the most in the Violet is the element mage, so how many people are gearing up and want to get a chance to go to the wind element plane. Yang also announced that he will hold an assessment after New Year's Day. The news of the explosion made many people unwilling to spend the new year. They began to actively prepare. The Violet people did not fear competition and examinations. The successful people certainly had great gains. The failed people could also find gaps and make up for the defects. At this time, Ziwei and Natalia appeared in the Loki airport, waiting for the next flight from Par. With the successful flight of the big flight home Fraser, the route between Wang de Paris and Violet has already had a 3-day flight, which is very convenient for many people. Life, you need to know that a single voyage requires only 6 magic hours, and the route through the traditional carriage to sail, it takes a whole month. Although the ticket price is expensive, for nobles and big businessmen, time is money, and the price is still affordable. Since the opening of this route, every voyage is full, and there are still many regrets that cannot get tickets. People. This time, the people waiting for Zyway and Natalia are the Ash ambassador Charlotte. She has been alone for half a year in the morning section. Both Zyway and Natalia are very welcome. Return. When the large passenger plane landed and the passengers came out, the appearance of a tall red-haired female knight caused traffic congestion. For the French people, she was the famous Ash ambassador. For the Violets, she was Summer. Lauder's mentor, a lot of young people around her, asking for a signature, and 2 cute little girls to join together, to be continued. Please remember the first domain name of this book, mobile version reading URL. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 747. The arrival of the birth of the sun made the entire Violet Academy quiet, and most of the students left the school, but there are still many people who are vying for time and refuse to waste even a little bit of time. In the restaurant on the 2nd floor of the most famous Bay Holiday Hotel in Nanhai Town, Violet Island, the Crete master is sitting there uneasy, as if waiting for the trial of fate. He is 30 years old this year. He used to be a well-known young magician in the Kiev region. He entered the field of exemplary ways very early. At that time, he was very angry, and he almost lost himself in the praise and compliments of countless people. However, when the turbulent year came, his mentor died in the Orc royal family. The master tower collapsed. He was spared when he went out to purchase the casting materials. He eventually had to embark on a journey of escape, and finally came to the Violet after several twists and turns. Crete naturally refused to give up the magic road, so he took the Violet enrollment exam. As a high-ranking magician, he has a solid foundation and rich theoretical theory. He soon became a member of Violet through the entry examination. However, truly entering the latest magical sanctuary of the Orient continent, all the pride of Crete is quickly blown away by the rain, even if it is not dazzling with the president of Zyway, Vice President Yang and Master Merrill. Excessive younger than, but the middle and high-level magician in his 20s really took a lot of money, so that Crete had to give birth to his feelings of being old. In this case, Crete put away all the arrogance, and learned the magic system of Violet from the beginning, especially the theory and spirit of the arcane proposed by the president of Zyway, which is really like a slap in the face, benefiting a lot. Short in 3 months, Crete published a paper in the Journal of Violet and became a 2-star arcane master. However, Crete's path to growth is not smooth, because he can get the ambition from Violet to meet his growing needs and challenge the master's card. At present, the high-level magicians in the Violet Academy are really numerous, but the masters of magic are still rare. As long as they have achieved the master of magic, they will stand out as the leader of the discipline, the head of the laboratory, and enjoy the high-level resources of the entire college. Although Violet College has helped most students to make up the resources needed for growth through the mission system, Crete, who is a high-level magician, is not enough. Crete had to find another way to put his research into the magical incubator project, hoping to get the college investment, become a commercial tycoon like Faraway, and get a lot of spiritual resources. However, opportunities like the big flighter trees and the beauty master Faraway are no longer missed. Nowadays, dozens of applications and feasibility reports are sent to the president of the Violet Chamber of Commerce almost every day. Crete's research results have not been approved, but he did not despair, but chose another investment channel that has recently become popular with Violet. It didn't take long for the guests waiting for Crete to come. A large abdomen old nobleman, wearing a luxurious decoration all over his body, with a sparkling magic ring on his left hand, is a limited edition of the Violet Chamber of Commerce. The space ring, each price is above 100,000 gold coins. There are also two young girls who are accompanied by this nobleman. They are accompanied by one left and one right. They are similar to his appearance, and are obviously his family's descendants. And Crete's eyes have been confronted with another young man who followed the nobles and wore the iconic black suit and white shirt. The two looked at each other and looked at the big aristocrat's gaze like watching a slaughter. Lamb. The young man is called Rio, 26 years old, also from the Kiev region, but his talent on the magical path is too ordinary to pass the higher threshold of the Violet entrance exam, but Rio. The mind was very clever, and soon found a huge business opportunity, becoming an intermediary between the magician and the nobility, which made him a day of fighting fame. I will introduce this. This is a high-level master of Crete. I have only been in the Violet for only 3 months. I have already published an important paper in the Journal of Violet. I received a title from the Morning Star Tower and became a 2-star arcanist. In the process of change and construction, the research is quite deep. We all waited until everyone gathered, and quickly began to introduce. This is the Marquis of Adaman from the city of Shiraz. The Ardman family has more than 1008. The centuries-old inheritance has been very prominent in the era of Alexander the Great. The Marquis is a noble and pioneering sage nowadays. The Adelman family has moved to the Violet Collar and just got the West last month at the invitation of the Lord of the Uyghur and the fiancée Natalia. I entered the Violet Castle to enjoy the dinner. It was a decent high-ranking man. The Marquis was enthusiastic about the magic industry, and the Cretan master was a professional. I hope the two can communicate tonight. Happy. It has been a year since the catastrophe of the catastrophe, and there are countless city-states and principalities that have been overturned throughout the continent, and most of the rulers in these places have been able to move ahead and go to safe places. Although most chose to take refuge in the Holy Norman Empire and the French Kingdom, there are countless nobles who come to the Violet Collar. According to statistics, there are at least 300 barons, more than 100 viscounts, and more than 30 in this year. Earl, more than a dozen marquis and 3 grand lords settled in the Violets. Every nobleman has at least a large number of family members, servants, guards, and a lot of wealth that they have searched and exploited for many years, so the price of the whole Violet almost soars in an instant. Stand up. Due to the instructions of Ziwei and the control of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, the price increase of food, clothing, and other necessities is not exaggerated, but the price of real estate has climbed to a very terrible high. A set of gardens in the island of Yunzong is about 500 square meters. The price of the second-floor villas is at least 2,000 gold coins. Even if you look at the entire Kingdom of France, you are already in harmony with Huangdu Paili, far more than any other city. Not to mention the island of Violet, the current housing prices in Nanhai town are really worthy of money, and the price of various luxury goods has reached a point of interest. The Marquis of Adelman came from the city of Sela. This city-state across the sea from Kingstown eventually fell into the hands of the Dark Council. The Adelman family, fortunately transferred almost all family members and wealth, but in Violet they need to reoperate the layout. Unlike traditional countries and city-states, Violet is a magician-centered territory. Although Siv and Natalia hosted a banquet for the nobility immigrants at the Violet Castle last month, which hosted hundreds of guests. But in essence, Ziwei does not value these nobles very much. The biggest contribution of their arrival was to raise the core of the Violet Bank to a level that would qualify as a national central bank to issue currency separately. However, the aristocrats may be cruel, perhaps arrogant, but there are not many people who are truly stupid to the extreme. In the face of this new situation, the total organic spirit can find a way to smoothly integrate into the Violet and re-enter the upper class. For example, I want to do everything I can to send my children to the Violet Academy, such as buying various property industries in Violet. However, when the cooperation between Princess Lucia and Faraway Magic Beauty Shop really spread, many people finally realized that they should know what to do next. do. Soon after, the Grand Dukes of Boland and the Marquis of Canidi paid a great price and successfully invested in Violet Airlines. In addition to the route from Pili to Violet, there are plans to open 3 other important routes next year. The poor Marquis of Adaman had been late because of the late fall of the city of Shiraz. When he realized this, almost all the important magic industries of the entire Violet had already had collaborators. The shares that Zyway opened to them are between 1% and 10%. It can be said that it is only a small shareholder, and it is completely incapable of affecting the company's decision-making operations. The dominant power is still in the hands of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, but this cooperation has become a slap in the face. Tickets for the society have become the core industry of the family and the long-term gold mines. Therefore, the Marquis of Adman cannot be taken care of. Both sides have their own needs, one represents capital, one represents magic, one needs to stand on the ground, one needs to grow, one has a tendency to cooperate naturally, and with the intermediaries of Rio, the atmosphere is quickly warmed up. Also ask the architects to introduce your research results in a language that is easy to understand for me. The topic finally turned to the topic, and the Marquis of Adelman couldn't help but ask, as a nearly 60-year-old he will use his rich life experience to judge whether this cooperation is feasible. Crete knows that today's talks have come to the most critical moments, knowing that there are many gold masters, but there are not so many nobles like the Marquis of Adaman and the transfer of almost all family property. It is not uncommon for the President and President Zyway to have more valuable research results. Once they can't grasp this opportunity, they can't know how slow they are to become masters. One step is slow, and the future will be dark. Quite a lot. The Marquis, my research results are the intersection of the School of Change and the School of Architecture. It can be called the plan for the disabled to complete the project. Once it comes to the field of expertise, Crete's eloquence is very good. Know that the battles of the Orient continent have been raging, the number of victims has exceeded 10 million, and the disabled have been several times. Traditional healing spells and radiant magic have failed to meet the growing needs, not to mention the lowest level of soldiers and civilians. It is a noble knight, a warlock, a magician, and a nobleman. Many people have become disabled people and endure the discrimination and physical pain of others. This is a very broad and valuable market. My current research results of magical prosthetics come from the intersection of the School of Change and the School of Architecture. What can be done now is the recontinuation of the limbs. The School of Construction constructs the mechanical prosthetic bones, and the School of Change creates the body, not only on the outside. It can be done in a fake way, and it can also let users use them like they have healthy limbs. There is absolutely no inconvenience, Crete said. Magic prostheses can be divided into low, medium, depending on the materials used, 3 high grades, facing civilians, knights and nobles, not only once sold, but also lifelong maintenance and replacement, can be said to be a long-term industry. Even if the future war is over, peace will come again, our industry will never. There is no market, and the magical prosthesis is not the result of all my research in the future. I will continue to explore in this field and strive to solve various disability phenomena such as hoarseness, blindness, and forgetfulness. Magic prosthetic, the Marquis of Adaman nodded silently. According to his rich experience in life, this is really promising, especially in the years when the war is rampant. A look at the tendency of the Marquis of Adaman to be hooked, Crete quickly took out the assessment report issued by the Magic Industry Audit Committee, which was covered with the seal of the Violet, completely undecided. The design is novel, aiming at the market blank, and the feasibility is strong. This is the final assessment of the Magic Industry Audit Committee. If it is not Crete too urgent, his research results will be dominated by the Violent Chamber of Commerce in the near future. This time, the Marquis of Adaman finally moved. For him, it is not easy to find a suitable project. Most of the magician's research results are relatively ambitious, not for the general public, and the market prospect is unknown. I don't know the age of the Cretan arcade master. Marquis Adaman put down the assessment report and shifted the topic. Crete gave a slight glimpse, and Rio has been busy with the interface. The Cretan arcade is 29 years old this year. It is already a 6-ring magician. It is very promising to attack the master. The future is boundless. I have a son and a daughter. The youngest son Joseph, 15 years old this year, just started the magic enlightenment, hoping to enter the Crete mentor. How do you know what to do? Marquis Adaman began to talk about conditions. Crete glanced at the young, handsome, and clever boy opposite, and nodded. My daughter, Helena, is 24 years old. She used to study with Master Tyet. Now she is a 3-ring magician. She plans to take the Violet enrollment exam in June next year. You are experienced in Crete. Know if you can allow Helena to study with you. Marquis Adelman began to introduce his daughter. Helena is worthy of being a member of the Adelman family. At the age of 24, she has the title of the Pearl of the Commonwealth of the West. It is beautiful and beautiful. Even if Crete looks at it in the past, it is also a blushing look. Rial naturally knows that this Helena is the most loved daughter of the Marquis of Adaman. When she comes to the Violet, she does not know how many nobles come to the door, but the Marquis of Adaman does not loosen the mouth. Today, this is obviously I want to combine Helena and Crete. While Rio was envious of hatred, he also quickly opened his mouth and helped Crete to come down. Helena was not embarrassed at all as a bargaining chip. She was very generous and looked at Crete with a pair of blue eyes. It seemed to be evaluating the future magician who might become her husband. Since the cooperation was reached, the next time I went to the cooperative negotiation of the shareholding, but Crete was obviously influenced by the beauty, and there was no savvy. Even though there was a help from Rio, I did not get the old Adelaide. The Marquis of Man was slaughtered. The Lord of the Marquis, my research results are from the laboratory of the Violet Academy. According to the regulations, the Magic Prosthetics Project, the Violet Chamber of Commerce must occupy at least 30% of the shares. Of course, the Chamber of Commerce also contributes and fulfills its obligations. Crete did not forget this key point. 3%, it is not too much. With the shares of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, I am more assured. Marquis Adelman finally reached an agreement with Crete. He invested 1 million French gold coins, occupying the newly established magical prosthetic factory with a 45% stake. Crete takes a 25% stake in technology and follow-up maintenance, while the Violet Chamber of Commerce naturally occupies the remaining 30%. The Marquis of Adelman successfully led this promising project. Although it paid the price of a whole million French gold coins, it became the major shareholder, and if Helena really married Crete in the future, the 25% stake in Ritter's hands can also be used for him. It's really everything in control. Even Helena's eyes are a lot warmer. Although Crete is not handsome in front of her, she looks like Zhou Zheng. At the age of 29, he is only 5 years older than himself. He has already begun the challenge of the Master's card, the future. Great. And this 25% of the shares can be converted into at least 500,000 gold coins, and the future value is definitely not only that, it seems that it is really a good husband and wife. Helena firmly believes that a simple magician like Crete will certainly listen to his own command after marriage, and will never be as arrogant as other noble descendants of the old tyrants. Although Helena is favored by the Marquis of Adaman, the young people of the Adelman family are quite a lot. Even if the Marquis of Adaman died in the future, there will be no more heritage that she can share. Crete will be big in the future. Part of the energy will be used to explore on the magical road, certainly not much time to manage the affairs of the magical prosthetic factory. Then if you can replace him to manage this part of the stock, what a big authority. Thinking of this, Helena's privacy is slightly moist, and the look of Crete is burning like a fire. The guests enjoyed the cooperation 3 days later, in the Violet Chamber of Commerce, the three parties signed a cooperation agreement. The Violet Magic Prosthetics Company was established and began to break ground on the corporate island. It is expected that the first batch of products will be available in March 1789. Bring to market. And Helena started to move faster. She fell in love with Crete on the last day of the sacred calendar in 1788. The two reached a marriage contract on February 1, 1789, and on March 1 I have to officially hold a wedding. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 748. No 23, Qingkong Street. The Higher Elemental Academy arrived. Passengers who have got off the bus should get off the back door with the sound of a sweet girl. The tram stopped at the edge of the broad street, many young people wearing a blue element school uniform. People ha-had and squeezed the trams that were originally empty, and the whole carriage was alive. Here is the sacred capital of the Smurfs, the most prosperous central city in the entire plain, high-rise buildings, busy. If you don't see it, no one can imagine that it was still a wilderness 10 years ago, and the Smurfs are still the original tribal civilization. All of this is naturally the grace of the great Blue Buddha. With the help of God, the sacred capital is instantly completed. The scorpions can touch the mysteries of magic and elements and become the strong masters of the extraordinary power. The Smurfs' affinity for the elements has even caught up with the elves of Yangju Island. With the most complete textbooks and supplementary books provided by Ziwei, almost all the young people of the Smurfs have started on the road of magicians. Going forward, and the Institute of Higher Elements of the Holy Capital is undoubtedly the sacred institution that all young Smurfs dream of entering. This college is the highest institution that the Archbishop Solomon specially built for the Smurfs after returning from the Violet Academy. All organizational structures are basically established with reference to the Violet College, but there is no school of protection, change, and decoration, but West. The elemental inscription system created by Dimension is the elemental school base of the core theory. Because the Arcane Core expedition to the Afghan kingdom, the Smurfs race was officially exposed to the public, so although many people still do not know the specific situation of the Smurf plane, but also have a general understanding of this magical affinity race. And a few young people in the Smurfs who are talented in the fields of protection, change, and construction have also officially entered the Violet College for further study after passing the assessment. For the Smurfs, the biggest expectation for ZZ is that they can achieve academic success. It is a secret that all the tribes in the past have been strictly guarded against, but now they are open to the public. All the Smurfs teach, so for every Smurf, the faith in the blue big god is so religious. And from Solomon, many high-level members of the church have left the Smurf plane through the plane channel, and they have seen the world in the Orient continent, but this does not make them have any devout faith in the blue big god. Discount. Because the world of the Orient world has never had the only God's teachings, and the blue sacred scriptures have never exaggerated the madness that they are the of creation, the only true God, and the more they are knowledgeable, it will be so gratifying that the Smurfs will be fortunate enough to receive the sanctuary. It is necessary to know that the main material plane in the whole multidimensional plane is now being attacked by the dark frenzy, and countless countries have fallen, and most of the multidimensional planes have the position of competing for value. The small and medium-sized planes were even ruined, and the new Smurfs were really lucky compared to them. Therefore, every Smurf is proud to be able to join the Arcane Core, because it is fighting for the great blue god, fighting for the great gods they believe in, living and glory, death and glory. However, only a handful of church executives know that the great blue big often appears in the form of a blue cat, and only the Archbishop Solomon is clear. Today, the blue big is sleeping, she sleeps in the Snow Mountain Temple. Among the sacred temples, even his archbishop did not have the right to enter. At this moment, in the secret of the snow-capped mountains, there is a tall figure wearing a gold-lined blue robe in the blue sleeping hall. He is sitting quietly in the chair, in front of him. A huge luxury soft bed, the bed is sleeping a beautiful woman. Ziwei sighed softly. Zero has not been in the form of maintaining a soul link with him for a long time, because she is carrying out a vital project, that is, the intelligent core completion plan. When I first came to the world of Orient, almost all the high-end modules of Zero were destroyed, and the intelligent core only left the most basic modules until Ziwei reopened the Zero-level primary intelligence module by summoning the magic ritual. Really returned to his side. However, with the development of Ziwei, especially when he really entered the legendary ranks, the help that Zero can bring to Ziwei has been negligible. Even from the ability of the intelligent core, which is the best at the core of computing power, she may not be able to be stronger than the West has been surging to the limits of humanity. In other respects, it is relatively short-board, all because of restrictions. Her advanced smart module has not been restored. This journey is long, and Ziwei does not want to see any people around him fall behind, so he helped Charlotte get the light source, made the Ashes messenger, and helped Natalia to combine the power of the Golden Lion and the Wind Elf. She also found a master for her to be a master, and Ziwei is even more unlikely to give up the Zero with his deepest soul. Therefore, after he was promoted to the legendary ranks, he began the reconstruction plan for the Zero-level advanced intelligent module. The difficulty of this project far exceeded the construction of the arcane sacred magic arc of light and the focused rainbow. To know that the world and the Orient, the two different power systems and the origin of the universe, the difficulty of this project is not the cherished material, not the treasure of value, but how to use the law of Orient. Make raw materials with the source and transform the Zero that best fits the world. And the ambition of Ziwei's mind is not limited to reshaping the high-level intelligent module of Zero. Although as the intelligent core of the Explorer, the Zero intelligence is already in the forefront of the entire Federation, but in all the intelligent cores. Above, there is also a federal brain, Athena. This is the only super-intelligent core with the ultimate intelligent module. It manages all the data, networks, technology, and communications of the entire Federation. It can be said that it is the master of human intelligence, and it will eventually crystallize. And Ziwei's expectation of Zero is to grow Athena in the Orient world, and ultimately the greatest guardian and cornerstone of the Arcane era. After 3 months of discussions with Zero, Ziwei finally decided on the final plan. It will be a grand plan to the extreme, and it seems to everyone that it is impossible to achieve, but it is also the only solution that could help Zero to reach the peak, despite the difficulties, but Ziwei is best at turning the impossible into reality. He finally decided all this and raised materials for reshaping advanced intelligent modules. If there are other people who can see the materials prepared by Ziwei, then they will definitely show their eyes to the ultimate look of greed, because these treasures are far more valuable than the Wind Scepter. The most precious treasure in the hands of Ziwei represents his exploration of the mystery of the ether. The etheric ball has been dismantled by Ziwei using the arcane energy as a shard of sardines, turning into pieces of crystal-like etheric essence. Under the influence of the mysterious arcane array, it was linked in a mysterious form, and finally became a transparent crystal heart shape, which was carefully placed into the heart of Zero by Ziwei. In the heart of this crystal, there are 4 distinct areas, namely yellow, red, green and blue. The yellow and red areas are empty, as if waiting for the point. The blue area is only a little blue in the center. The green area is full of crystals. If the King of the Wind, or Xa, is here, he will be able to recognize that the crystal in the green area is the part of the origin of the whole world of the Orient world wind that Ziwei extracted from the Wind Scepter. The blue point is the source of ice and snow that Ziwei obtained from his 6th apostle Scarlet. It is necessary to know that even the kings of the 4 elements are not able to get to the other elements. The 4 basic elements of calm have built the magic of the entire Orient world. Just controlling one element has pushed them to the most powerful half-god in the world of Orient. In the case of opening, even if the elemental king is sitting at home, he will not do anything, and he will be able to achieve the true god in the future. The elemental source that Zai had learned from himself was not left for his own use, but was poured into the body of Zero. And according to this structure to see, Zaiwei's ambition is clear, actually want to control the power of the four elements of the fire and Feng Shui at the same time, the magic of the Orient world. Zaiwei is a human being, and it is impossible to carry too much power of origin. Even if 1% can't do it, even the king of the wind, Olaxa, does not know how many years of accumulation, and the source of the wind that can be controlled now is not 1/3 of the entire world. Because the power of the source represents the core and true power of the whole world, even if it is 1,000 things, the burden and pressure on the soul is too heavy, not so easy to bear. Therefore, if Zaiwei wants to take the road of sealing the gods, there are very big shortcomings from the three aspects of the control of the source, the development of faith, and the construction of the church. It is impossible to catch up with the powerful demigods who have mastered the opportunities. However, Zero is different. Although she can already shape the body of bleeding with her own magical skills, from the source, she is still the crystallization of the highest wisdom of mankind in the 35th century, and the power of human beings that cannot be carried by human beings. It is what she can carry. Although this will bring great pressure to Zero, the power of the source is the embodiment of the whole universe law, which can help Zero to solve and construct the advanced intelligent core applicable to the world of the Orient world, and ultimately the ultimate intelligent core. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 749. History has opened a new one. The sacred calendar finally arrived in 1789, and the opening day of the Violet Academy is scheduled for January 18th. Before this day, most of the students who returned to their hometowns to spend the birthday of the sun have returned to school. The island of Violet, which has been deserted for nearly a month, has once again become lively. Since there is no formal course yet, everyone has a lot of free time. Time can do some light-hearted things. Since the number of students at the Violet Academy has officially exceeded 10,000, even though many laboratories and magic research institutions have been built in the Enterprise and the island of Violet has fallen over this month's holiday. 20 buildings of various functions are used to satisfy a large number of fresh learning, life, and magic studies. The entire Violand land has been fully developed, without any inch of free space. From a desolate island 3 years ago, it became a dream garden-like school city, including a series of landmarks such as Violet Castle, Morning Star Tower and Nan Hai Town. The Violet Island is completely integrated, the architectural style is simple and beautiful, and full of artistic atmosphere, bringing a huge surprise to all the returning school Violets. Many students have made friends with 3 or 5 friends and rode on the windmill to roam in this garden city. There are huge and uniform cyan trees on both sides of the road. This is the original wild poplar variety from the Blue Sky Field. More than 30 researchers from the Arcane Garden Plant Research Institute have been researching and improving the new varieties that have been cultivated for 10 months. Its leaves absorb the sunlight and can emit a kind of fragrance, which can effectively relieve the fatigue, sleepiness, and other troubles, refreshing. Its branches are very suitable for magic apprentices and the magic masters used by the first-class magicians. The bark can be used in the latest mental nourishing magical potion. It is tall and straight, lush, and very ornamental. In addition to the beautiful scenery, the Violet Academy can also provide students with a wealth of material and spiritual food. The Violet Restaurant offers almost all the tastes of the whole world of Orient and is highly appreciated by almost all teachers and students. Cameras, windmills, magical beauty, phantom theaters, and many other magical products and services with Violet features have also been recognized and sought after by many people. If the various services of Violet Island are elegant enough to cultivate sentimentality, then in Yunzong Island, in the once sinful city of Palermo, there is a lot of extravagant services for the nobles from all parts of Orient, and the young wizards who are up and coming. However, the school of Violet is rigorous, and few people will be enchanted by the sound of dogs and horses. After all, magic is an extraordinary force. Exploring this path in depth, the lifespan of hundreds of years or even thousands of years is nothing but a byproduct of pursuing truth, so unless there is no longer any progress, or a small number of people with short light, most violent people can still distinguish what is more important, so that they can reasonably arrange their own time and plan their own lives. As time approaches the opening date, the vibrancy of Violet continues to heat up, and more than 20 clubs have begun to make new ones, including various competitions such as drama competitions. Nowadays, the Violets built into the Western spell list, the average number of online users in the forum has exceeded 5,000. Every day, the major sections are more than 3,000, and the reply is more than 50,000. Various posts include subject practice, magic research, troubleshooting, guessing reasoning, community selection, and tidbits. Various topics such as making friends, a variety of students, in addition to eating and sleeping, many students hang on the forum almost all day, called the first generation of internet users in the world of Orient. Violet people's preference for gossip is not weak at all. For example, the president of the student, Esmeralda, the flight artist Trees, and other people have a lot of people, and even fans have set up a star-like support club. The organization spread some of the favorite idols in a variety of occasions. Handsome photos, such as Esmeralda's support members have exceeded 1,000 people, most of them are adolescent hormones inciting young boys. People are always full of admiration and awe of the strong. The Violet Forum has a top-level post with more than 50,000 replies. It is the evaluation of the teachers of the Violet Academy, except for the comments of the posters and more than 30,000 words. In addition to the 60 carefully selected photos, there are also a large number of students in the response, and the thank you and respectful responses account for the vast majority. Among the many tutors at Violet College, Christine, the chief tutor of the College of Architecture, is undoubtedly the most popular one. Of the 360 photos, only Christine's photos are more than 50. It includes teaching, gatherings, life, and other occasions. There are various expressions such as seriousness, smile, laughter, speech, etc. However, all of them are beautiful and can't pick out even the shortcomings. Therefore, the College of Decoration has become the second largest branch of Violet after Elemental College. Of course, this is because many men cannot refuse the charm of the construction machinery, which is cold, rigorous, and full of challenges. In addition to Christine, the Vice President Yang, the pioneer of the electromagnetic field, Meryl, the Change School, the Green Dragon Girl, Ilya, and other instructors are also very popular and have a high popularity. However, the number of fans of all of the above is not comparable to that of Sci-fi. He is the idol that all Violets want to follow. He is no longer a star in the sky, but a unique sun, emitting light and heat, encouraging and inspiring everyone who is interested in advancing on the path of magic. Whether it is the earliest Jota classmates, the first students from Corsica, or the students from Sicily, from France, and even the entire Orient world, they chose to be the biggest reason for the Violet, or because of Ziwei's presence. His growing experience is already a miraculous legend. He not only made a 3-year leap from a small magic apprentice, but also painted a name for everyone. The wonderful picture, the new career of the Arcanist, has become the dream of all the Violets. So when the announcement of President Ziwei's speech at the opening ceremony of the new semester appeared on the Violet Forum, the entire forum exploded. I have to know that Ziwei has not taught at the Violet College for a whole year. The freshmen who entered the school last August have not even seen their principal. The news was like a flying bird with wings, and it spread quickly throughout the Violet Academy. On the morning of January 18, countless students put on the school uniforms of the Violet Academy and stepped into the new school with excitement. The auditorium, attending the opening ceremony. The newly completed auditorium is located opposite the arena. The two buildings are separated by a curved Union Lake. There are curved arch bridges and white embankments on the lake, which is also a beautiful scenery. The auditorium is in a standard circle. At this time, the 8 doors are all open. Students from different colleges in different grades are seated according to the guidelines, enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people at the same time. Elements: protection, space, summoning, change, construction, mind. The current Violet Academy has 7 branches, all the mainstream magic schools of Orient. Each seat is concentrated together, with the iconic symbols and colors are distinguished. The professors and mentors of each school sat in the front row of their own divisions. They also wore the most grand magic robes. The arcane divisions were even equipped with their own arcane badges in the auditorium. The orange-red light shines in the background. This is the grand event of the whole Violet. No one is willing to be absent. The president of the Violet Chamber of Commerce, Meow, the flight artist Trees, the magical beauty master Faaway, and the Duke of Farina, the Blue Sea Solomon, the chief archbishop, and Cesare, the president of the former Union of Magic School of Venice, also entered the arena. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the gates in the 8 directions of the auditorium were slowly closed. The lights in the auditorium gradually darkened. Everyone stopped whispering and the entire auditorium fell into silence. At this moment, accompanied by a soothing and gentle music, a bright and shining moon shimmered, illuminating the center of the auditorium. A young man wearing a black wizard robe, tens of thousands of violets in all directions. The man waved his hand gently. I am very happy to meet you again. I am your principal, Master Sci-fi. The next moment, the audience cheered. Almost everyone could not suppress their inner excitement and joy. From the seat to stand up, desperately spurred their hands. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 750. Zai elegantly smashed and responded to all the teachers and students cheering for him. Under his repeated instructions, the auditorium finally calmed down again. 3 years ago, it was still a desolate little island. Almost no one knew about its existence. Now, it has become a magical holy place in the world of fame. 3 years ago, all of us were also scattered in every corner of the world, living an ordinary life in every possible way, but now, we are gathered together to create a brilliant new world for the same ideal. The clear and loud voice of Zai echoes in everyone in the ear, whether men and women, regardless of age, regardless of race, regardless of skin color. We have a common name, that is the violet. For the violet, for the immortal radiance of the arcane, all the violet students who stood in a standing position became solemn and solemn, clenching their right hand into a fist and putting it in front of their own heart, swearing in a solemn and solemn manner. On the cornerstone of the main teaching building of the Violet Academy, it is also engraved in the heart of every violet. The world is undergoing earth-shaking changes in the Orient world. This is a big change in the millennium, and the same is true for magic. Zai continued his speech. The old elemental school has renewed its life brilliant. All other magic schools have also begun to get rid of the old restrictions and embarked on the road to open up new areas, all thanks to one word, that is, arcane. The arcane concept has promoted the development of magic from the level of obscurity, privacy, and luck to the field of civilization, openness, and exploration. In the past 3 years, almost all the research achievements of the magic school have emerged, not only the rapid rise of violets, the Thousand Law Tower and the Royal French Academy of Magic also benefited a lot, including the legendary magicians, and began to understand and accept the idea of arcane. This is the trend of the times, such as the rolling wave, no contradiction, no can be blocked. I sincerely congratulate you on becoming a member of Violet. Here, you will be able to understand the nature and roots of magic more. You will not be obsessed with mastering a powerful spell. You will not be enchanted by the lethality of magic. Among the light and shadow effects, through the phenomenon of chasing the essence, the truth hidden in it will be discovered. You are in the base camp of the arcane idea. It is rare in the violet time. The study and life here will give you a true arcane master who should dare to question, be good at discovering, be logical, and practice boldly. Features: this will not only help you move faster and further on the magician's path, but also greatly benefit your life. The words of Ziwei make everyone think, even though many students are still teenagers in their teens. Although Ziwei is less than 20 years old, his words have entered everyone's heart. This is messages and expectations from the principal. Orient is a brand new world. The historical unit of measurement of the whole world is tens of thousands of years, and human civilization is only a few thousand years. Ordinary human beings, no matter strength, agility, or endurance, are far less than other wisdom races. And the violent beast magical creatures in the wilderness, so why can human beings become the masters of the Orient world? Because we have a smart brain, we are not only good at summing up experience, but also able to invent and create. Ziwei said here, civilization is constantly developing, and human beings are constantly breaking through the limits. The record on the history of magic in the European Union tells us that human beings will not be magic at first. However, from the sages of Merlin, generations of magicians are determined to forge ahead and dare to explore, and now have the brilliant 8 classical magic schools. Only the legendary magician who has reached the limit of mortal. As a violet, your future is boundless. The long lifespan of hundreds of years and the powerful spells of the mountains and the seas are not illusory but ideals that can be expected. However, the road to pursuing the truth will never end. I hope that you will not. I am willing to waste my talent and life on the achievements I have already achieved, and explore the infinite truth with a limited life. This is the true arcane spirit, this is the real arcane master. Ziwei suddenly opened his own hands, and all the lights in the entire auditorium were extinguished instantly. On the top of the dome, there were glare of glare, and the long galaxy hangs across the sky, and the sun and the moon hang together. Everyone looked up at this scene. This is not a simple projection, but a real source of reality. If it is true, it will make people intoxicated. Then, the 4 basic elements of the geothermal feng shui are pervasive, and the 4 elements of the and are presented in real spirits. They are all vivid, like the legendary creatures with their own intellect and life. The latest achievements in the in-depth exploration of the big elements are an invaluable jewel for anyone in the auditorium, especially the magician who majored in the elemental school. Then, the earth under the feet slowly diminishes, eventually becoming a little stream, gathering into a long river of souls, where the origin of death, the soul of all the life of Orient life, endless river. All the visions that Ziwei presents are the manifestations of the sphere of strength that he has mastered. The sun and the moon are the origin of the light and the origin of the moon. The Kixing River is the origin of the power of the stars, but Ziwei's mastery of these sources is a taste or presumably simulated, but it is enough to bring enough shock to the tens of thousands of violets in the auditorium. The power of the 4 elements of geothermal feng shui is the true foundation of Ziwei, but at present, only the origin of the wind is the most authentic, and the origin of the fire and the origin of the earth are all derived from the deduction, and even more illusory. The endless river of silence is the power of the source of death that Ziwei has mastered. His soul has been tempered in the endless river, and it has guided Prince Reinhardt to gain the power of death. Therefore, there is no real element in the real aspect. At one time, all the violets were in shock. At this moment, all the sky was amazed, as if they had completely left the island of Violet, and with the help of President Ziwei, they saw the truth of the world. The force is a deadly general attraction for several masters and legendary powerhouses. Let them want to pursue exploration in desperation until they are completely in their hands. The purpose of Ziwei's doing this is very simple. The Violet Academy is his route. The Violet is the pioneer and elite needed for the future development of the Arcane Age. Ziwei has always been physically encouraged to guide them forward, and Violet's style of study is also quite rigorous. Most people are very motivated. However, the inferiority of human beings is difficult to eradicate, especially as a large number of nobles from all over the world choose to come to Violet for refuge. The luxurious life, colorful temptations begin to erode the spirit and will of the Violet people, especially those who are born. The magicians of the grassroots class, the temptation of such a person is really irresistible. According to Yang's report, at least 20% of the students in Violet have begun to gradually stop at various levels, satisfied with the existing achievements, and intoxicated in the gentle township, they do not intend to move forward, and many of them are very talented. Elite. Zai Wei never allowed his seedlings to be cultivated in such a long way, but it is not the best way to guard against it. Therefore, he came forward to outline the achievements and future of the true arcane masters for the students of Violet. Use the longevity, immortality, and origin to be more tempting than the sensual dogs and horses to strengthen their will. At this moment, watching all the teachers and students present in the field are all immersed in the illusion of this source, and try their best to realize one or two. Zai Wei finally nodded with satisfaction. Everyone in the Violet Auditorium will be the founder of the future Arcane Age, will be the most determined supporter and follower of the future. At this point, Zai Wei's carefully cultivated and shaded Violet Academy has finally passed through the most fragile and difficult stage, and the future will shine with dazzling brilliance, truly standing at the very center of the Orient world stage. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 751. The former Nelson Black Forest was a natural border between the Rhineland and the Grand Duchy of Boland. Now it has become a paradise for the dead. It is not the undead King Bades, but the former Prince of Rhine Reinhardt. Lord of the Will of Death now. Different from Zai Wei's choice of the road to control the power of the source, Reinhardt finally chose to integrate into the endless river, so that the source of death completely controlled his body, and almost completely washed away the part of the human body, leaving only the most memorable hatred and the soul of being a human being. And because the undead King Bades returned to the soul of the soul, Reinhardt's growth is less threatened by this greatest enemy, and other undead creatures are naturally restrained by the source of death. Choosing to integrate into the endless river of silence makes him the growth rate is far greater than normal, and now it has achieved the legendary peak, only the last point can enter the sanctuary. Reinhardt's whole person is in a frosty cold legendary armor parcel. His voice becomes dead and distant, as if he can directly touch the human soul. The breath of the king on his body is so rich, his undead creatures have exceeded the specification of 10,000, and the most elite part is the knights who once guarded him to escape the Rhine Union. In order to restore the country's dreams, these loyal knights accepted the power of death. Under the transformation of Reinhardt, they became the Death Knights who belonged to him alone, and they were ready to rule this newly convened army. Counterattack the Bones. However, on this day, the Nelson Black Forest ushered in an uninvited guest, and the death-willing Reinhardt had to host the guest, because he had the name of the whole multi-position, that is, the wise man Fala here, the brains of the 7 demon kings of the abyss. It's nice to meet you, the Prince of Rhine. The hateful hate of the family has not blinded your eyes, the power of death has helped you to come to a new realm. Welcome you to join the Dark Council. The words of Falraz made Reinhardt somewhat unhappy. I have mastered the source of death, but it does not mean that I join the Dark Council, especially the president of this council or the enemy of my country. Bades paid a huge price for his greed. Now that the scourge has stagnated, he can only wait for the next opportunity in the soul guard. Falraz gently clenched himself. The right hand, the 4 devil's claws are buckled together, but the opportunity has been missed. Bades may have lost the chance to climb to the top, and you have the possibility to step ahead of bards on the road to God. That's why I came to see you, Reinhardt. The coldness of the dead flashed from the inside of the frosty armor, and Reinhardt looked directly at the abyssal demon. Don't your devil intend to part with the bards and his running dog? No, no, the undead king is still our loyal ally. I am only stating a possibility. The world is ever changing. Who can predict the future? Falraz is full of magical green eyes and looks at Reinhardt. Bad's advantage is still great compared to you, but now, there is a rare opportunity in front of you, that is, an invitation from the endless abyss. Speak your intentions, devil. Reinhardt is not going to circle the other side. The Dark Council is fighting the most powerful sacred Norman empire of mankind. This war has lasted for 3 months, and both sides have reached the most critical juncture. Reinhardt, if you are willing to join the Dark Council, launch the sacred promise, the raid of the Man Empire. I will promise you on behalf of the Endless Abyss, at least 1/3 of the territory of the Holy Norman Empire now belongs to you. Falraz put forward his own conditions, which is rich and perfect. So what about the Rhine Union? I am in love with my homeland, I don't want to stay away, Reinhardt asked. This is an internal dispute in the Dark Council. I will not give you any promises, but the Prince of Rhine, this is a fleeting opportunity. You must establish enough advantages before Bards returns again, otherwise the future will be said Falraz, smiling. The Holy Norman Empire is still a human kingdom. After all, you have assembled the power of the Endless Abyss, the Dark Areas and the Orcs and even the Dark Parliament. Can't beat them, Reinhardt questioned, knowing that the former Rhine Union was also Oran. One of the 5 great powers, but there is no resistance in the face of the Scourge. After all, it is Ulant, the center of the world, the only main material plane, and all other outsiders can't fully exert all the strengths in this. Falraz looked up at the stars. Of course, only here we can take the last step of the gods. For this battle we have prepared for 2000 years, this is the last war, and we belong to the winning side. Reinhardt is silent. If he accepts the origin of death, he is originally for the hatred of the country, but now he has the wild desire to truly achieve immortality, then the undead King Bades is undoubtedly his biggest head. Shadow. According to the current development speed, I am afraid that in the battle for future battles, the odds are really small. Joining the siege of the Holy Norman Empire is also a high-risk thing, and it may be possible to fall into it. I need to go to the front line of your battle with the Empire, and then make a decision. After a moment of silence, Reinhardt responded. Very good, Prince of Rhine, I am looking forward to your arrival. The figure of Falraz was nothing but nothing, and everything calmed down again, as if nothing had happened. Holy City Vatican, St. Peter's Basilica, the sanctuary of the Church of the Lord of the Sun, the holy light of the Lord of the Great Sun. Among the gloom of the darkness, the head of the Church of the Lord of the Sun, Raphael, said to the front, Glory my Lord, the agents who sent to the Kingdom of France have returned, and I have sorted out the precious information they brought back. The Church of the Lord of the Sun has no pope, and the Cardinal Raphael of the Red Card has succeeded in becoming the head of the pastor. He wants to be the first pope, and I am afraid that he will wait for Infinity, the Lord of the Sun, to successfully seal the gods. The dark glory was a little brighter, and Infinity in the corner nodded and signaled Raphael to report. The heretical church has spread all over France in every big and small city, and even in towns and villages. According to statistics, at the end of 1788, the Church of the Heretical Church has more than 53,300, and the number of believers is over 18 million. The number of believers who provide the power of standard belief is also more than 3 million, and it is growing every day. The pastor organization of the Heretical Church is expanding. At present, the regional bishops are almost all the masters of the master class, facing the rapid development of the dark frenzy. As a result, many French people chose to join the Heretical Church and seek refuge. The Knights of the Heretical Church have expanded to 4, and the minimum threshold for each of the knights is a high-ranking knight, among which the Ashes Knights are the fastest growing, and there are more than 600 of high-ranking knights. Enough, Infinity impatiently dismissed all the books on the table, and the head of Raphael could only stand cautiously, his head hanging low on the ground, his eyes looking straight at the toes and observing each of the above. Dust. In the past year, the development of the Church of the Lord of the Sun has only one word to describe, and that is bleak. Once the most powerful organization of Orient, the Church of the Glorious Lord fell apart in the moment of the Holocaust, and the dark frenzy that followed, brought a huge blow to infinity, and all the beliefs of the whole of Orient, the kingdom of the Lord and the city-state have almost fallen. The most sacred Norman Empire of mankind had completely broken with the Church of the Lord of Light as early as the 30 Years' War, and the only surviving kingdom of France fell into the hands of the Lord of the Morning, and the door of the house was the basic disc. In the kingdom of Italy, the Church of the Lord of the Sun has to compete with the blood of the Lord Nicholas. I have to say that Nicholas, the Lord of the Blood, is a wonderful thing. Although he is absolutely not heroic in the Dark Council, he is a wizard in the management of churches and beliefs. Under the guidance of the Church of the Lord of the Blood, the doctrine and purpose are very tempting for ordinary people. They do not need hard work, no need to fight for life and death, but only need to extract blood essence to be promoted step by step until the legend is even stronger. Order. The beauty and femininity of all the men is very attractive from the outside, and the Church of the Lord of the Blood can be greatly more beautiful. Only this point attracts many believers. Moreover, the blood ritual of the Church of the Lord of the Blood is not only painful, but also has a more intense pleasure than the reproduction of the sexes, which makes people want to stop, can only be intoxicated. Although infinity knows that this is Nicholas who killed the mortal as a pig and fattened, and then ate it, but the mortal could not see it, or would rather lie to himself and devote himself to the Church of the Savior. Moreover, due to the catastrophe of the catastrophe, many people still have the grievances after the abandonment of the glory of the Lord, and even brought this kind of grievances to the Lord of the Sun, which makes the religious belief of the Lord of the Sun difficult. So many years later, the size of the Church of the Lord of the Sun is not even half the size of the Church of the Lord of the Blood, and not to the Church of the Lord of the Morning, which has completely occupied the status of the state of the French kingdom. If it is not the Lord of the Sun, the Master Church still holds the abundance of Francois. If it is not infinity's hands holding the two artifacts of the Holy Cross and the revelation of Revelation, the Church of the Lord of the Sun has no future. In the future competition of the gods, it is even more impossible to defeat Eulysia. Infinity clenched the Holy Cross on his chest, his eyes closed and he did not say a word, and the whole hall was as quiet as silence. At this moment, there was a voice that was surprised and asked, "Why is the Lord of the Sunshine Lord so worried? Why not tell me one or two?" Raphael, the head of the priest, suddenly raised his head. Among him and the Lord of the Sun, there was a burning devil's brand. This demon-branded master is the wise man Falraz. Devil! You dare to appear in this sacred cathedral, it is simply looking for a dead end. My lord, please quickly suppress this bright enemy. Raphael must be angry and screamed. The faint glory suddenly bloomed from infinity, and his eyes were sharp to the extreme. Falraz, what do you want to do? He can easily destroy this demon brand with two artifacts, so he didn't directly touch it. I deliberately solve problems for you, Falraz said with a relaxed face, without any tension. I have any sorrows, need you a demon to gossip? Infinity asked. Uriah, the Lord of the Morning, is your common enemy. So we have a common language, standing on the same front, isn't it? Falraz spread his hands and shrugged. Devil, you to be eloquent, Raphael raised his scepter, and he would never let the devil come to the glory of the Lord. Retreat, Raphael, infinity's unrelenting voice echoed in the hall. My lord, this. Raphael finally sighed, and instantly seemed to be 10 years old and turned away from the hall. Say. There is not much time left for you. Infinity glanced at the demon. It was a straightforward character, I like it. Falraz smiled and said, light and darkness are not natural opposition. There is no darkness to set off what is called light. The Lord of the Morning, Ulysses, is the biggest enemy of your path, but isn't it? However, the development speed of the early morning Lord Eulysia has far exceeded, even though you are holding the 2 artifacts left by the glorious Lord, I am afraid it is difficult to complete the overtaking. The last 3 days. Okay, the Dark Council is fighting the Holy Norman Empire. This country has a population of 80 million. It is a vast country, a country stronger than France, and a larger potential believer. If you want to lead the morning, the main step is to turn the empire into your parish is the best choice. Falraz, my patience has reached the limit, the Norman Empire has already broken with the Church, and now there is the Guardian, Infinity whispered. Now, it doesn't mean the future, Falraz's green eyes suddenly widened. If you are willing to initiate a levy on the Holy Norman Empire, I will guarantee on behalf of the Endless Abyss, and the future of the Holy Norman Empire is the Sun Lord your parish. Infinity has a round eyes, don't be kidding. Where the Dark Parliament army goes, there are no ones in the living, and there are still believers there. The situation has changed, sir. Once the conquest of the Holy Norman Empire is successful, the situation in the whole of Orient will be settled. Human beings cannot be killed, and we will not do this. I promise here that you don't need to openly join the Dark Council. After the war, you will guard, we will kill, and each will take what it needs. The Lord of the Dawn and the Kingdom of France are the next target after the Holy Norman Empire. Falraz finally put himself. All the conditions are all explained. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 752. In the void outside the plain of the Orient Plain, the fleet of the whole demon army is gathering, and the demon can send the door to be summoned, and the endless demons are summoned from the endless abyss. They are high. The devil's deterrence maintains a basic order, not dominated by the source of chaos. The fastest update website of this book, please Baidu search or directly visit the website. In the edge of the void, overlooking the Orient Plain at the foot, like a flat giant egg, the blue is vast. Falraz, welcome you back. It seems that this trip is very smooth. The painful Queen Mesty swayed and walked forward, and the style was so full that all the male demons around him were crazy, and the female the devil is full of embarrassment. Do not disgrace the mission. Falraz nodded proudly and looked awkward. The Queen of the Deep Sea, Kanoa, promised the entire Sea of Orient, and promised the whole Elf Kingdom to the Spider, and promised to remaster Irland to the Orc, and promised the next glorious to infinity. Even those who did not enter the holy, the small rolls of the domain, have promised. Our wise men are really a generous person. What did they leave us in the end? Mesty looks like a question, but in fact, with a kind of praise, the eyebrows fly. The best strategy is not a conspiracy, but a bright and ambitious plan, so that the other party willingly enter the game. The devil of Falraz must be slightly fluttering. Mesty, you have to know, whether it is light or darkness, whether human, elf, orc, or other races, is the aboriginal of the Orient world. In their bodies, there is the will of Ilana. And we are different, we come from another universe, and I am exposed to a Ilu. NA's natural suppression. Our strength can't reach the full-fledged form, so we can't crush these mortal races from the level. In every battle, we need to consume a lot of magic power to break through the constraints of Elena. This is our demon is always trapped in endless. The reason for the abyss. The endless abyss is created by the integration of our hometown and the Orient world, and only where our power can be completely liberated. This is also the reason why we handed over the president of the Dark Council to bards. In this dark frenzy, whether it is the victory of the light against the darkness or the darkness of the light, the loss belongs to the power of the Orient world. And the source, will eventually weaken the body of Eluna. Only Elena, is the biggest enemy of our abyss demon. To fight, kill, let us die of the final death, and use the blood of mortals to completely weaken Elena, which is the premise of our final battle. Although most of the situation is in the hands of it, the early morning Lord Elysian and the Arcanist Zyway are our unexpected troubles. Their growth is far from the earliest expectations. I heard that you had suffered a loss in the famous arcanist Sci-fi, or was he just a little magic apprentice? Mesty looked at Follards with a smile. In fact, an abyss of the 7 demon kings, 6 were born in the endless abyss. Only the first devil, Valtz, still retains the memory of the original world, so he is not only the brain of the devil, but also the beauty. The demon monarchs such as Sti also have a symbolic status similar to that of a brother or a father. 11 Way. Yes, I have never targeted him because I saw the brilliance of Iluna in him. I will not do anything to you until I have weakened Ilana, but I am ready. It only takes a moment to arrive. He doesn't have much time. Force turned abruptly, and his deep eyes penetrated the plane barrier, looking directly at the distant Orient, the Holy Norman Empire, this moment. The most important strategic goal. Violet, Moon Island Master Tower. After the Battle of Arcane Light, Sci-fi laid out 300 magical sensors in the entire Golden Waters to monitor the action routes of the fishermen, thus guiding the merchant ships to avoid attacks. It is also because of this magical sensory system that merchant ships traveling between Violet and Palermo can often escape the attacks of most of the squid, making trade security greatly improved and profits will increase. The magical sensor set by Zaiwei is so hidden that the priests of the Taoist fishermen have not organized the cleaning and inspections. The center of this very valuable magic sensor is located at the Tower of the Moon on the Moon Island. The Mage Tower is now being stationed by the first apostle of Zaiwei, the Magic Master Merrill. On the day of the Holy Calendar on January 23, 1789, Merrill observed a large-scale operation of the entire shoal of fishermen. Almost all the squid fishermen gathered together and marched toward the west in a mighty way, trying to leave the Golden Sea. Go to the Endless Sea. To know that the Endless Sea is so vast and desolate, only the largest ocean-going ship can sail in it. The degree of opening is very low, far from being comparable to the Golden Sea. Why do the fishermen come out? Merrill quickly told this abnormal information to Zaiwei. Zaiwei was going to reconnaissance, but suddenly received the call from the King of the Wind, Olaxa. The slight movement of Zaiwei's heart seems to have guessed the reason why the fishermen's large-scale attack was made. His body turned into a breeze, and he came directly to the top of the sky. He once again entered the wind elemental plane and saw this element in the Fengshen throne. King Olaxa did not circle the world, and came to the door to say the reason for summoning Zaiwei. Zaiwei, I sense the arrival of a new elemental plane, which belongs to the territory of the Tide King Naren. Now, it will also be integrated. The main material plane is up. Olaxa's fingers pointed straight in one direction. In that place, I have sensed his arrival. Similarly, he also knew my existence and position at this moment. The direction of Oryxa is the endless sea of the 6th European Union. The speculation in the heart of Zaiwei has turned into reality. The deep-sea queen Kanoa is obviously staring at the water element plane, her squatting fish. People have an expedition to the water element plane. I don't know the king of the great wind. What kind of attitude do you have for the other 3 elements of the king? Zaiwei responded, according to my intelligence, the deep-sea queen Kanoa has sent her to the army of the fishermen go to the endless sea. The sea witch, the despicable sinner. Olaxa suddenly stood up from the huge throne. She is really ambitious, actually wants to once again touch the throne of the king of elements. Why can Kanoa be able to sense the message of the water element plane one step ahead of you? Zaiwei is puzzled, knowing that Kanoa is still far away from the deep sea frenzy. The wind elemental plane of Oryxa has it is integrated with Orient, but it is separated by a sky. And the induction between the 4 elements of the Lord is very strong. They are the oldest ruler of the elements, and the strength is also the most powerful group in the world of the Orient. Because Noah was the priest of Nightlon at first, and won his trust and favor, my old man gave almost all his authority to her. The Battle of Elements 2,300 years ago. In the King of the Evil Spirit, Diolos killed the throne of the of Fengshen, and Nighton personally came to support, but did not expect that Kenwoya had the deepest knife behind him, not only trying to steal the power of the source of water, but also I want to completely let Nighton fall. Fortunately, the madness of the king of the evil spirit, Diolos, caused the dissatisfaction of the mother of the rock, Sarah. The three elements of the kings worked together to suppress the king of the evil, and I helped Nadarun regain the water. However, it is a pity that the power of the elements of water at this time is not far from the leader of any water element, and it is not inferior to my old buddy. This battle ultimately failed to leave her. Oryxa obviously has an initial trust in Ziwei, telling the secret between a king of elements. It seems that the king of the wind, Oryxa, and the title king, Night, apparently have a good relationship, while the stone mother Sarah is relatively neutral, and the king of the evil spirit, Diolos, is clearly the most powerful and most conquered elemental king. However, this is also a good thing. Lekanoa was originally the next strong enemy he planned to deal with. She is the master of the rage of the sea, and Ziwei can't beat her at home anyway. Broke her to reach the tentacles of the Orient Plain. But if Ikanoa wants to defeat Natron and win the power of the Elemental King, then she must be present in person, and there is a chance to completely kill her. So, do you want to lead the army to support? Just as what has been done by Natron, Ziwei asked. The huge figure of Oryxa was squatting in the throne. After a long time, he shook his head helplessly. No, I can't. As a king of elements, once it appears in the main material plane, it will lead to not knowing how many people are embarrassed. To know that the world is now in turmoil, almost all the supreme are already in the game. In the wind element plane, I can guarantee an invincible position, but if I take risks, but with the crisis, and the lessons of Nighton are vivid. The king of the wind, Oloxa, said that he has a great advantage at home and is completely invincible. There is no problem in the future, so it is impossible to go out to risk, even if it is only a slight danger, but he wants to save his good friend. Nightlon, this is the real intention of his call to Ziwei. Ziwei is doing this, but it is borrowed from Dongfeng, and all the way to the reinforcements and allies. It's really a sleepy encounter with a pillow, but Ziwei did not show it, but it was difficult, and a melancholy responded to the Olympics. The gaze of Laxa. I hope that Ziwei can replace me to support the title King Netarun, defeating the ambition of the Deep Sea Queen Kaunoya, Oloxa said helplessly. Okay, I know this is great for you, take risks, so I will pay you in advance. Oloxa took the emerald green crystal of his chest, and this huge Aeolian crystal is the source of the wind element he has mastered. Clenched the wind crystal, Oloxa slowly pulled out the power of the source, the emerald green like smoke. People are crazy. In a moment, the power of Oryxa's origin was enough to promote the three giants in the cloud to become the Lord of the Wind in the sanctuary. This stopped the action, and the color of the wind crystal was only slightly lighter, and returned again. His chest. Oryxa gave some pain to the source of this wind to Ziwei. Even for him, it took nearly 100 years to regain so much power. If the origin of all the winds in the world of the Orient world is regarded as a joint stock limited company, the King of the Wind, Oryxa is undoubtedly the largest shareholder, and he personally holds over 30% of the shares, indirectly through the leadership of the Downwind. After 20%, the remaining nearly half of the shares are in the midst of slumber, but he can also take it at any time. Oryxa is currently limited to the ranks, and there is no real to master the rest of the wind, but on this road, he still has an absolute advantage. This is really an unexpected harvest. The source of this wind is comparable to the three wind gods, and the shares of the company are also about 3%. It is really a generous gift. With this gift, Ziwei became the second largest shareholder under the chairman of Oryxa in the Wind Source Company, although his share is less than respond, Your Majesty, Ziwei will do everything in his power to defeat the ambition of Kenwoya and guard the water elemental plane. Oloxa nodded. Take all the troops in your Cloud City to go out. After the war, I will make up for all the damages for you, and double the return. Of course, this has a premise, that is, never let the sea the which, Kanoya, won't. Please rest assured, Neil. 11 Wei took a master ceremony and withdrew from the throne of Fengshen. The first war of the sacred calendar in 1789 was finally to start. The planned siege of the Shoal of the Squid was obviously outdated, and now it is undoubtedly the battle to guard the water elemental plane. Zai Wei went straight to Yunzi Mountain in Junshiveo. After the new year, Natalia had traveled to Yongxiaozong to follow the Grand Masters and practice the clouds. This time, Zai Wei was to inform the Grand Master of the latest changes, and the agreement was common. Send troops. Good. Hearing the news brought by Zai Wei, Lu Yun was happy to clench his fist. This situation is much better than the decisive battle in the depths of the Golden Sea and even deep into the deep sea, and it has more water. Face this ally, you only need to arrest the Oriole in the back, and the battle damage will inevitably be much smaller. The machine can't be lost, the Cloud sect will gather in the army within 3 days. After 3 days, I will send a brand new Violet to come and meet, and go to the Endless Sea together, and fight against Kanoya. Zai Wei and Lu Yongxiao smiled. Natalia is retreating in the quiet room. This sentiment is very important to her. If she misses it, she will regret it for a lifetime. Therefore, I suggest that this war should not let me play this game. All right, then it is so agreed. Zai Wei's figure slowly faded, and eventually disappeared. Next, he must first go to the water element plane, and see the Tide King Netarun. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 753. The Endless Sea, isolated from the Oran Extra Large 6 and the New Grand 6 level ocean, its area is far from the Orient Extra 6. If there is no Oryx's guidance, even if the current strength of Zai Wei wants to find the reality of the water element plane, it is no less than a needle in a haystack. Human beings grow on the earth and are naturally not adapted to the battle in the water. However, for Zai Wei, this trip to the water elemental plane has a better choice than the arcane core, which is the Naga in the deep sea. Since Fleet inherited the golden scales and became the new queen of Naga, the Violet began to penetrate deeply and changed everything in this closed ocean plane in a subtle way. It has become the earliest adventure, exploration, and growth place for the teachers and students of Violet. The towers at the center of the plane are often staffed. With the support of Flaia, the Naga kingdom is rich in economy, culture, and military. The aspects began to be closely integrated with the Violet, and the Sagarnal guards, who had fallen under 3,000 people, had put on the system armor and weapons that were designed and produced by Zero and were most used in marine operations, and the Grand Duke Aktlina has established a new magic school in the deep sea, teaching the course of the Violet Element School, and has cultivated a large number of new magic talents for the Naga Kingdom. In the past 2 years, Freya has been in a state of waking up while sleeping. Under the full monitoring and promotion of Zai Wei, Freya has almost left her father, the former tyrant of the sea, Francis, to her greatest legacy, Blood Eyes. The power of the golden scales is completely stimulated and mastered. At this moment, she has risen to the highest peak under the legend, and the real combat power has already completed the opposition to Yang and Meryl. When Zai Wei once again entered the deep sea plane, the elite of the entire Naga kingdom has gathered in the kingdom of Sagana. 3,000 guards and 400 Naga masters are ready to go. Rainbow. The 8-armed Naga Filizal not only got the epic sword and armor that she had tailored for her, but also went further on the martial art. She really entered the legendary rank and became a sword saint, a set of 8 handles. The epic longsword seems to have survived in her hands, with a demon charm and horrible lethality in battle. The Grand Duke Farina is often transformed into a human being at the Violet Academy. Today she is no longer a classical elemental mage of the 7th ring, but a strong man who has become a 5-star arcanist and an 8-ring magician, even in the entire Violet system is also ranked in the front sequence, and she has the backing of the entire Naga kingdom. The future has a great probability to break through the barriers and enter the legendary field. Although the two are highly weighted, they maintain the highest respect and the most solemn etiquette in the face of Ziwei, because they know that the youth in front of them is not the small middle-level wizard 3 years ago, but one. The legendary magician who is unpredictable and trend-setting, the future Arcane. More importantly, the Master Ziwei broke the hundreds of thousands of years of closure of the Naga kingdom, but did not enslave the Naga people, but launched a fair trade and exhibition strategy, which made the Naga kingdom embark on the fast track of Jazan. In this short period of 3 years, the whole kingdom has undergone earth-shaking changes, and the life of the Naga people has also greatly improved. Therefore, when Ziwei made a request for the Naga kingdom to play, whether the Grand Duke Farina or the Grand Marshal Felizel agreed without hesitation. Under the of the two, Ziwei entered the depths of the palace. Among the glorious ants, the Naga queen Freya is sleeping quietly, and the faint golden brilliance dyes her whole person into dazzling colors. The white and delicate skin seems to be a transparent white jade, and the lower body is golden. The scales are densely covered on the long tail of the snake, bringing a demon beauty. Ziwei noticed that the third apostle, Freya, had really grown up. She not only grew from 1 meter to 5, but also matured too much in a short time. Growing to the most mature and most attractive years, this is largely a side effect of her activation of blood-stained golden blood. Ziwei used the mystery of the mind to wake up the sleeping Freya. Freya, who was half awake and half awake, sat up and saw the figure that reflected in the field of vision. The sweet smile instantly bloomed like a flower, and the light blue shirt could not cover it. Her proud figure, she jumped lightly to the glory of the ant, the golden scale snake tail turned into 2 white smooth human long legs. Can do this step, there is no doubt that Freya has taken a step closer to completely controlling the blood in the body. When Ziwei was feeling, Freya jumped into his arms with a sigh of relief. The hands clasped his neck tightly, and the eyes of the two men only had a palm-wide distance. Looking at Ziwei for a long time with a pair of blue eyes like a sea, Freya finally spoke up, "It seems that you have not completely forgotten me, Ziwei mentor. You will always be my student." Freya Ziwei felt that a kind of emotion called between the two was growing, and quietly opened the legs of Freya in his waist. The feeling of fineness and creaminess seems to be endless. Freya's heart is beating vigorously. She wants to cross the invisible barrier between the two, but she suffers from the loss. She is afraid of losing her existing close relationship. After repeated thoughts, Freya finally sighs. Released his hands and stood in front of Ziwei. The big Duke Farina, who was behind 11 Wei, and the Grand Marshal Felizel smiled at each other. For the little queen, they have a mother-like concern. This is naturally a favorite. The Naga people are not as rigorous as the human beings in marriage. They can say that they really dare to love and hate, and even if they can't live with them forever, as long as they can leave each other's children, it is also the best way to remember this relationship. On the tip of Ziwei's fingertips, there were 3 flashing blue crystals, and 3 eyebrows slowly infiltrated into it. The information about the water elemental plane battle was located in the 3 memory crystals. The deep sea queen Kanoa is our enemy. Very good, Ziwei tutor, Naga, listen to your command and execute your will. Deep sea queen Kanoa is in the same strength as the undead king Bades. The enemy of the level of terror, and this battle did not have the battle of the likes of the morning sun, Ulysses, and the changing Lord Victor, but Freya's face did not have a trace of fear, because she knew the West. Wei is a person who will never act rashly. She has absolute unreserved trust in him. Ziwei naturally felt this trust. His hand patted Freya's shoulder gently. He still wanted to touch her head as in the past, but now Freya is only slightly lower than him. The action is somewhat inappropriate. Do not worry, Freya, you will gain more in this battle. It will be the road to the legend and the food. Ziwei is the color. Obviously, the former sea witch, now the deep sea queen, Kanoa, controls a large part of the power of the source of water, stealing the authority from the Tide King Netan. The goal of this battle of Zyway is not simply to defeat the incarnation of the water element plane, but to completely defeat the Deep Sea Queen and take out the power of the source she has mastered. And Freya now has the potential to touch the power of the source, even if it is only the smallest share of the source of water, it will be very helpful for her future growth. 3 days later, the Violet appeared in the port of Juniper. Nearly 100 monks wearing dark green martial arts uniforms boarded the Violet. Each of the nearly 100 monks should not be underestimated. The tempering has reached an extreme, their ranks range from 6 to 9, and the real power is even stronger. Undoubtedly, this is the essence of the entire Yungziao mountain, and it also reflects the determination and sincerity of the great masters. Finally, in the Golden Sun, with a quaint fight, wearing a black martial arts suit, with a green long bamboo poles picking a pot of fine wine flowing in front of the west. His pace is not too slow, but with a wonderful charm, as if it is integrated with the surrounding grass and trees. This is undoubtedly a mysterious field, a mysterious force that Zyway is not good at. Standing on the boat, I looked back at the Junchi fortress under the golden morning light, and the Yungziao mountain surrounded by the distant clouds. The clouds turned and turned to face the blue sea, out. Zyway nodded. The huge elemental wheel in the cabin of the Violet was driven. With the long whistle, the Violet left the castle and quickly passed through the golden sea to the endless sea. The location of the water element plane. Today, the Violet is no longer the only sailboat. It is a class warship designed and built by Zero and Zyway. It is driven by elemental furnace and made of steel. Although it is impossible to achieve the 12 magical guides of the Holy Norman Empire. The armored ship flew above the sky, but it also easily crushed any other surface warship. Now the Holy Norman Empire and the Dark Parliament are performing the final decisive battle. The situation is deadlocked. I don't know how you look at Zyway. In the command room of the Violet, Zyway and Lu Yongxiao are chatting, and there are also Christine and Mei Lyre, as well as the second disciple of the Torrents, Iron Bones Noah. The once Dark Parliament has two main forces, the Death Spirit and the Abyss Demon. The rest of the forces are also fighting each other. Although it can't be said that it is a loose sand, it is also a big one, and it is difficult to reach a consensus, especially when it comes to hard bones, but since the undead King Bades died and entered the soul to wait for the resurrection, the situation began to change gradually. Among the two kingdoms of humanity, the pressure of the Kingdom of France was greatly reduced, and the Church of the Morning Lord also took the opportunity to expand. It can be said that it is extremely stable. Bades died, the Dark Parliament and the incompetent and the Abyss Demon contenders, including the Dark Elves, the Scorpion Fish, the Blood races began to gradually move around the strategy of the Abyss Demon. All the pressure is sacred on the Norman Empire. I am afraid that it will be difficult to last. Yes, I thought that the Dark Council was difficult to integrate. I didn't expect to attack the Holy Norman Empire at all costs. Although the Empire is the most powerful force of mankind, it is difficult to support it. Once it is defeated, the human side has almost no chance of winning. Flowing Clouds side, I have written to major forces such as Norman, France, the Tower of Thousand Laws, and the Holy See. I hope that we can hold a summit and unite to face the Dark Council. We must not let the Empire fall. Under. Zyway nodded. Now the Holy Norman Empire can almost be said to be the only one to counter the entire Dark Parliament. In this case, the French Kingdom, Violet, and Juniper, have a safe environment. Admire the Empire's profound national strength, but can't just sit back and watch it. It is the time to unite all the forces that can unite to fight the Dark Council. Master, you and me are also very important in this battle. Once you get rid of the water elemental plane, you can even harm the undead King Bades, and master the water source. No one can do it anymore, so we must defeat her and even create the opportunity to completely defeat Kanoa, and look at the entire Dark Council, and the semi-god level supreme is one of the few. In order to seize the source, the next battle to be born can be said to be the toughest battle since Zai came to Orient. The importance of this battle for the Big Six is no less than the exception of the Maginot Line. The Battle of King Badrs, but the difference is that the self of this war has jumped to the dominant position. The strength of the deep-sea queen Kanoa is absolutely not to be underestimated, and the squid is also the most brutal and chaotic evil race in the entire multi-planet. The proportion of the strong in this race is very high. At least 20 legendary fishermen, including the casters and priests, are among the more legendary and above, and they are even more powerful in the ocean. The war power of this race is simply overwhelming the majority of Orient's 6 orcs, and the combination with the deep-sea queen, Kanoa, has an effect of 1+1 far greater than 2, if there is no self-attack. Zai is not optimistic about the fate of the Tide King Netan. In other words, Kanoa has a high probability of success. For this battle, Zai is also fully prepared, and Christine and Meryl's expedition is not within his plan. Kristen is accompanied by the combat power of the new career of the Star Master, and Meryl is also to understand the power of lightning from the source of water, to find inspiration and direction for the future road. However, Zai is not worried about their safety. If they are there, they will not have any accidents, even if they are facing the true body of the deep-sea queen.